All right. Good afternoon. Let's start by asking ourselves these two questions. Are we aware or are we not aware? And let's try to answer them by going back 2000 years. Aristotle was this great Greek philosopher who lived 2000 years ago. He lived in ancient Greece. He lived between the years 384 BC to 322 BC. And he was a teacher to Alexander the Great. And here's what he said about awareness. The ultimate value of life depends upon awareness and the power of contemplation rather than mere survival. So clearly Aristotle understood importance of awareness 2000 years ago. We all talk about awareness, right? Everybody wants to make the world aware. So I was curious about the meaning of this word awareness. So I looked it up. This is what it says in the dictionary. Awareness is knowledge, consciousness, or interest. The quality of state of being aware, the mental state of knowing about something. Now, why do we want to spread awareness? Because we want action. We want the world to take action. Otherwise, we wouldn't bother. So, we can say that aware people take action. That's the assumption. And how do we spread awareness? In early times, people used to stand in village square or town square and start speaking. Later, it was the newspapers. And for last decade or so, it's been social media. Social media has become the main tool for awareness because whatever happens offline also finds its place online. For example, if you attend a speech or an event or if you read something, it will ultimately find its place online, and perhaps more people will see it online than offline. So if social media is slowly becoming the main tool for awareness, let's look at some social media stats. It looks like average person spends about 2 hours 30 minutes on social media every day. That's all of us. So what are we doing for 2 hours and 30 minutes? Seems that for 1 hour 30 minutes we are watching short form content. In simple English it's called reels. We are watching reels for 1 hour 30 minutes. 200 billion, that's a B, 200 billion reels are seen every day on just two major social media platforms. And initial view duration is just 3 seconds, which basically means that if you don't like a reel, you are on to the next reel in 3 seconds. So we live in this world where social media is now becoming the main tool for awareness. Let's equate that to a fictitious scenario. Let's say that your grandmother taught you some great recipe and you prepare that dish with a lot of love, lot of affection, and you invite somebody over. Your guest comes and you serve that dish to him. And as he or she starts enjoying it, as he or she takes the first or second bite, a stranger comes in along with his own dish and serves it to your guest. Now, to your shock and surprise, your guest actually shifts his focus from your dish to that dish and starts enjoying that. But while he's enjoying it and takes first or second bite, another stranger comes in and serves your guest the third dish. And now your guest shifts focus to the third dish. So, in this process, the dish that you prepared with so much love and affection has lost its value and importance. So, that's the world that we live in. If social media is becoming the main tool for awareness, then we need to know that everything on social media is becoming a reel with 3 seconds as a deadline. Even this speech, when it gets online, I'll have 3 seconds to impress you. If you don't get impressed in 3 seconds, you are on to the next video. So we live in this world where Aristotle's definition for awareness, where he says power of contemplation, or dictionary definition of awareness, where he says mental state is impossible to achieve. What we are doing on social media is we are not really producing aware people. We are producing informed people. Millions of informed people are getting produced, but for a very short duration. So the question is that what we consider as the main tool for awareness spreading, social media, is it that effective? And more importantly, in this world that we live in, how do you produce aware people who take action? That's the question I've been grappling with for last 9 years. So 10 years ago, when we came from US to India, we started visiting the sports or heritage places around us. And those who are not from this area, there are hundreds of these wonderful forts on the mountain tops around us. So I started visiting it, and like everybody else, I was taking pictures, posting them on social media, waiting for likes. Then I realized that I need to do something more. So one fine day, we just basically grabbed a couple of garbage bags from our house and went to a major fort and just cleaned it up. And then we went there, because we wanted to see forts, so we started going there every month. And what we saw was that amount of trash was either still there or it was growing. And the kind of trash that we were finding on forts is plastic bottles, plastic bags, discarded food, sanitary napkins, liquor bottles, pan supari, gutka packets, chips packets, you name it, it's there. So we started collecting that. And it started really small. It was either me and my cousin, or me and a couple of my friends, or me, my wife, my son. Sometimes it was just me. It started really small, and then few friends joined in. And we slowly formed a group, and we call that the Trash Talk Group. It's a pun. So for the last 9 years, we have been cleaning trash from our forts every month. And we posted those, and the friends who joined us, obviously from informed people, they became aware people because they took action along with us. And we started posting these pictures on social media, and we are getting a lot of likes and comments and applause. And so obviously we assumed that, great, so many people are now becoming aware, and obviously they will take action, right? 25 such missions, mainstream news media started covering our work. And over the last 9 years, there have been several newspaper articles in all the major newspapers about what we do. I have been interviewed for at least 9 or 10 times on major radio channels. Now, newspapers have millions of readers, and radio channels are extremely popular. So, assumption again is that all these people who are listening in or reading that are aware, and now they'll take action, right? Then COVID happened. And although COVID was a very tricky time for all of us, from awareness point of view, I was happy because all of us were sitting at home and sending each other messages on how nature is flourishing outside without human beings, and how once we step out, we'll take care of the nature. So from awareness point of view, I was happy. So after COVID got over, we went back to the forts. And here's what we found. Rajgarh, which is one of the major forts, on 1/3 of the fort, we collected 39 sacks. The 50-kilogram sacks, we collected 39 of them just from 1/3 of the fort. Fort Lohagarh, the amount of liquor bottles that we collected could fill up a room. On Fort Sinhagarh, we found different brands of liquor bottle every few feet. On Fort Shivneri, we collected a truckload of trash. On Fort Pratapgarh, there was an ocean of trash that we couldn't possibly clean up. So obviously, the trash had increased 100-fold after COVID. And all this awareness thing, articles, and social media campaigning or COVID messages to each other had not worked. So we went back and we resumed our work again, and we obviously needed more volunteers. So I started going to schools and colleges and started talking about this issue. And that was the first time when I saw informed audience getting converted into aware audience, because groups of 50 students, 100 students, people, they joined us, and we went to the forts and we cleaned them up. So that was the first time informed audience became aware audience, because it took action. And action is extremely empowering, and I'll give you a few examples. In early days, me and my cousin had gone to Fort Rajgarh to clean up, and we were climbing up as we were cleaning. There was a group of about 8 to 10 people just behind us, and they were using really foul language. They were swearing a lot. So after some time, I sort of turned to them and I sort of, very humbly requested them not to use that kind of language and preserve the sanctity of the place we were at. Now I was fully expecting to get punched in my face. But to my surprise, because they had seen us clean up the fort, they apologized. Not only that, they joined us in picking up the trash. and they carried our trash bags on the way back. I have seen teachers tell their students to pick up the trash when they see us. I have seen parents tell their children to pick up the trash when they see us. So action is powerful. Volunteering work is very powerful. Along with that, you keep spreading the information and just hope that some of those informed audiences become aware audiences and they take action. Along with that, the third leg is government, because all these heritage places are owned by government departments. So for last 3 years, I have been working very closely with all the top IS officers, department heads to find a long-term solution on this problem. And I found extremely great response from those officials. They actually made ground level decisions that I could see. On one of the forts, they put up checkpoints to make that fort plastic free. On a few other forts, they banned night camping just to get rid of the trashing problem. They made the law against liquor consumption on the forts much more stricter. A government organization cleaned up 50 forts one year and 100 forts the next year. So I call all these government officials aware because they actually took action. In 2024, India applied for the UNESCO World Heritage status for our forts. And I was fortunate enough to be part of the committee who prepared for the UNESCO team visit. So, with several volunteers, we cleaned up those 12 forts, we prepped the villages. I was there when the UNESCO team was here, we could talk to them. And government officials put in at least a couple of years of efforts to make this happen. And so, a couple of months ago, 12 of our forts got the UNESCO World Heritage tag. And all this was done by aware government officials, aware volunteers, aware villagers who took action. Now, the reason I told you about this 9-year journey is this: there are some lessons learned. And the first lesson is that I realized that we human beings now have started looking like this. Our human brain is now covered by two bubbles. The inside bubble is the me, myself, and I bubble. It's basically thought about yourself, my salary, my job, my health, my wealth, my next career move. And human beings are self centered. That's how we survive. And the bubble around that is the social media bubble, which is full of reels, selfies, and photographs. So it's very difficult to pop these two bubbles and reach to the human being inside and get him or her to take action. Sometimes human beings do come out, but then they go back right in. That's lesson number one. Lesson number two is validation or likes are meaningless. You can see the two photographs on the screen. The left one, where I'm just looking at the camera, is a completely useless photograph. I'm not doing anything. And the next one is where the actual work is being done. But as you can realize, or as you can imagine, more likes were there for the one where I'm not doing anything, just looking at the camera. So likes are meaningless, validation on social media is meaningless. And just because they're liking it, just because they're commenting on it, doesn't mean that they're aware, doesn't mean that they will take action. Third is the word awareness and the word inspiration they both have lost their meaning. And we talk about awareness. Inspiration is the same thing. I often hear people say, "Oh, I got inspired by this. I got inspired by that." I don't think you are. I think what happened was you just got a temporary surge of emotions, and then you went right back into those two bubbles. If you're truly inspired, you would take action. And finally, I think social media as our main preferred tool of awareness is ineffective. Not only that, but it's also making other traditional ways of awareness spreading ineffective. For example, if you attend a speech or if you read a newspaper article, you get impacted by it for some time, but then you go back to your phone and then you go back into those two bubbles that we talked about. So what do we do in this world that we live in? How do you create aware people who can take action? First thing is that you yourself need to take action. Change yourself and keep taking that action for a long time to get noticed by people. Secondly, don't keep forwarding messages, don't be forwarding quotes and imagine that you're changing the world. You're changing nobody. Third, be aware of the impact of the messaging. For example, Environmental Day. I see Environmental Day getting celebrated everywhere. I was asked to be a guest at an Environmental Day festival for 4 days at a college. They had speeches and they had skits and they had dances, and every classroom was filled with material and setups by students that said protect environment. And I was thinking, how this whole thing is actually protecting environment outside. They would have been probably better off if they had asked the students to come outside and cleaned up a street instead. So be aware of the actual impact of the action that you're taking. And a lot of people, spend a lot of time debating, discussing, criticizing, commenting on others, but they don't take action themselves. And I had read this book by Mr. Praveen Dawane many years ago, where he said that millions of people in India watch cricket, and we spend hours talking about the cricketers, criticizing them, comment on them. But he said that the cricketers we are commenting on, they did not spend their time doing this very thing. They spend their time training, and that's why they are on that side of the screen, and you are on this side of the screen. So you have to decide which side of the screen you want to be. Second point is be successful. If you want to be, and because we live in this world where who is saying it is more important than what is being said. If I tell somebody that, oh, I'm from semiconductor industry, I have 2 master's degrees, I've lived in US for 20 years, I get some attention. If I tell people that I'm a professional writer, I write web series and films, and I have a Filmfare award, I get some attention. And once I get attention, then I can humbly request those people, hey, can you pick up some trash? So it's important that you be successful in whatever you do to make an impact. And finally, do it with a lot of purity, do it with a lot of integrity, and people get that. People get that vibe. For last 9 years, we have been collecting this trash from our foods without asking for any penny from anybody. We are not an NGO. We are this group of people who are doing this. So do it with a lot of purity. If you do all this, then there is a hope that you will be able to convert at least few people from informed audiences to aware audiences who actually take action. And if they become aware, they will fit the Aristotle's definition of awareness, where he says power of contemplation. And they will fit dictionary definition of awareness. They will get that state of mind. And once they get that state of mind, they will be able to look at things and notice the right things. People who live in those two bubbles that we talked about, look at this picture and see the top half where they can make reels. And aware people look at the bottom half and say, well, that needs some cleaning up, right? So finally, I'll leave you with two thoughts. In your life, try to spend significant amount of energy working on the cause and take action on something that is not about yourself. And last, you have to decide in life whether you want to be a 3-second reel or make a long lasting impact. Thank you.